All right. Oh man, these top problems are killing my vibe. Here is the second generation Pontiac Vibe. We're gonna be going over the top 5 problems. Overall, they're really not that bad, very simple repairs. If you notice, it looks a lot like a Toyota Matrix, and that's because it shares the same platform. So we all know Toyotas don't really have that many problems. Any of the problems on this vehicle, we actually sell the components at 1aauto.com, so make sure you click the link in the description if you need any parts. Starting from the back of the vehicle, working our way forward, we're going to start with the gas cap. That's one of the easiest things, and it's going to give you a symptom of a check engine light. Most likely you're going to get an evap code, and you want to check that gas cap first. Double check, make sure it's not loose. Pull it off, take a look at the seal. If the seal's bad, or if even the ratchet is not working properly, you want to replace that gas cap. Moving on to our next problem, it's the fuel pump, which luckily in this vehicle, there is an access in the back seat. It's fairly easy to remove the base of the back seat. You grab the 2 front corners, lift up with a little bit of force. Then in the back, you push down the middle and slides right out. And then you can see there's an access panel right in the center here. This cover is actually glued down. Sometimes you may have some that are screwed in. You just take the screws out and it pries right up. For this, you may want to use a heat gun or even just a prying tool and get underneath so that you can pry that cover up so you can access the pump. Some of the symptoms you're going to notice is the vehicle stalling, or the vehicle may crank but it won't start. Most likely you're not going to have a check engine light, but it could affect fuel mileage if the pump is starting to get on the weak side. For the rest of the problems, they're all under the hood, very easy access. Let's talk about the valve cover gasket, which is right up on top. There's a little cover right here that is above it. You want to take that off. Just a couple 10mm bolts. That comes off. Then you can access the valve cover. And the symptoms you're going to have with the valve cover gasket is leaking oil. So you may notice a little bit of oil burning smell. If that's dripping on the exhaust, it's going to burn off, and that's what you're going to be smelling. The simple fix for that is removing the cover, resealing it with a new seal, and putting it back on, torquing it to spec. Then you should be good to go. While we're over near the valve cover, the next problem is the ignition coil connectors, and they're located right attached to the ignition coils themselves. The major problem with them is they break over time. The plastic gets brittle and the connector part breaks off. And then there's not a good connection holding the coil on. Sometimes the terminals internally will spread, and that's going to be an issue. The symptoms you're going to find with some of these being an issue is the misfire. You may have a check engine light with it flashing, and you may think it's coils and plugs. You go to replace the coils and plugs, and that doesn't fix your problem. Most likely it's in the connector itself. And the last problem we're going to talk about is the O2 sensors. Sometimes the front one they call an air-fuel ratio sensor, and that's what's going to monitor the exhaust gases, and it can make your adjustments to adjust the air-fuel ratio. This is the one that's located right after the exhaust manifold, and it's before the catalytic converter. So this is monitoring the engine gases, and it's plugged in over here right next to the valve cover. And there's also an O2 sensor underneath, and this one is going to monitor the catalytic converter. So if you have a code that's related after the catalytic converter, that's going to be related to this O2 sensor versus the forward one that's just going to monitor the engine. So there's the top 5 problems for this Pontiac Vibe. Overall, pretty easy. All the repairs are very simple. You can do them yourself. And if you need those parts, make sure you click the link in the description and head over to 1aauto.com. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. All right. Oh man. Let me do it again.